In this session, I will share strategy to help you successfully tackle the paper-based TOEFL or computer-based TOEFL. To perform well, it's essential to understand and apply strategy for each section like listening, structure, and written expression, and also reading. There are several effective strategies you can use, and I will break them down into 3 parts, aligning with the section of the TOEFL test. However, rather than following the test order of sections, I will start with the general strategies, then the structure and written expression section, followed by the strategy for the reading section, and finally strategy for the listening section. By approaching this way, I aim to provide a logical progression that builds your understanding and helps you master each section step by step. Let's get started. Now let's start with some general strategy to help you perform well on the TOEFL. Be ready for test condition. Preparing for TOEFL doesn't just mean knowing the material, it is also being mentally and physically ready. Here are some tips to ensure that you are fully prepared for the test day. First, take the test in the morning if possible. This is when your brain is at its freshest and most focused. Beforehand, get a good night's sleep before the test. Staying up late to cram won't help you retain information and will only leave you tired and less focused. Then make sure to eat breakfast before heading to the test center because hunger can distract you and make it harder to concentrate. Don't forget to bring all required items like your ID, test registration confirmation, and any allowed writing tools like pencils or erasers. If someone who gets cold easily like me, consider wearing a jacket or sweater. However, make sure to check with the test supervisor beforehand to ensure this is permitted in the test room. Lastly, arrive at least 30 minutes early to the test center because rushing in at the last minute can cause unnecessary stress and impact your concentration. Focus on the test material. So it is essential to stay focused on what's being tested. We all have our strengths or favorite subject. For example, I come from a healthcare background, so I naturally gravitate toward health-related topics. However, remember that TOEFL answers are only based on the material provided in the test, whether it's in the form of questions, reading, or recordings. You don't need to rely on your personal knowledge or opinions about a topic. Everything you need to answer the question is already included in the material. Many test takers struggle to move on from a question because they feel the test content doesn't match their prior knowledge. This can create a bias and disrupt your focus. Trust the material and focus on what's provided, not what you already know. The third one is familiarize yourself with the direction for each section. So each section of the TOEFL test, like listening, reading, structure, and writing, has different instruction. Make sure that you are familiar with this instruction ahead of time so you don't waste valuable time during the test. Pay close attention to the direction provided during the test itself to avoid confusion. Next is practice makes perfect. There is no substitute for regular practice. The more you practice TOEFL questions, the more confident you'll become with the format and the better you understand your own strengths and area for improvement. Invest in a TOEFL preparation book or borrow one from a library and work through the practice question consistently. Afterward, review the answer explanation carefully to understand and why certain answers are correct. You need to commit to a test date. So while practicing, set a target date for your official TOEFL test and register for it as soon as possible. Don't wait until you feel completely ready, because let's face it, you'll always feel like there's more to prepare for. By committing to a test date, you'll create a clear deadline to work toward and motivate yourself to stay on track. Next is we discuss about the strategy for structure and written expression. The structure and written expression section is designed to measure a test taker ability to recognize language that is appropriate for standard written English. This section evaluates grammar and sentence structure skills. There are two types of questions in this section, and each type has its own specific instruction. The first one is sentence completion. In this type of questions, test taker must choose the correct word or phrase to complete the sentence so that it is both structurally and grammatically correct. The second was error identification. For this type of questions, test takers are presented with a sentence and must identify the word or phrase that is incorrect. The error could be structural or contextual, and the goal is to spot the mistake that prevents the sentence from being accurate. Let's go over some examples to better understand this question type. For example, a camel, blah, 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 30 gallons of water in 10 minutes. Which option do you think is the correct answer? A, can drink, B, it can drink, C, a large drink of, and D, with a drink of. The correct answer is A, can drink. B is incorrect because the extra subject it makes the sentence grammatically incorrect. Answer C is wrong because a large drink of is not a valid verb form, and D also incorrect. So the right choice is A, can drink. Example number 2 for the error identification. The 4 strings on a violin are tuned. Which part of the sentence to be correct? The error is on B, string. The word string is singular, but it refers to 4, which indicates a plural subject. To make the sentence correct, string should be changed to its plural form, which is strings with S. The correct sentence should read, the 4 strings on a violin are tuned. To successfully answer questions in the structure and written expression section, it is essential to understand the fundamentals of sentence structure in English. At its core, an English sentence must have at least a subject and a verb. While complement and modifier may be present, they are optional and not always necessary. For example, a simple sentence could be, the boy runs. The subject is the boy and the verb is runs. She is happy. She is the subject and is the verb. I love you unconditionally. I is the subject, love is the verb, you is the complement, and unconditionally is modifier. Therefore, when tackling sentences with a single subject and verb, you should focus on the following strategy. First, ensure the sentence has a subject and a verb. Second, check for singular and plural consistency. Third, be cautious with objects of prepositions and appositives. 4. Understand present and past participles. Every complete sentence requires both subject and verb. Watch out for sentences that are missing either element, as they will be incomplete sentence. Check for singular and plural consistency means you need to pay close attention to whether the subject is singular or plural, as it determines the correct verb form. For instance, the incorrect is the student is studying. The correct one is the student are studying. To be for the students, because the student is plural, needs to change into are, not is. Also be mindful of countable and uncountable nouns, also irregular count noun, and choose the appropriate determiner accordingly. This is the sample of the determiner, like a, the, and, some, any. Be cautious with object of preposition and appositives means that when identifying the subject of a sentence, be aware that objects of preposition or appositives are not the subject. For example, the book on the table belongs to me. Here, book is the subject, not the table. Second example, we went to the park with our friends. Our friends is the object of the preposition with our friend. Example of appositives like my friend, a doctor, is visiting. In this case, friend is the subject, while a doctor is an appositive providing additional information about my friend. Second, my brother, a talented musician, just released a new song. A talented musician is appositive, providing additional information about my brother. The third example was the city of Paris, the capital of France, is famous for its art and culture. The capital of France here is the appositive, explaining more about Paris. The city of Paris is the subject. Next one is understand present and past participle. So when identifying the verb, be cautious of participles. Present participles like ing forms and past participles like ed or en forms often function as modifiers rather than the main verb. Look at this example. Which one is in this sentence is the verb? The boy running in the park is my brother. The verb is, not running or run. Second, he is watching a movie right now. Here, is the verb, not watching. He is watching. So watching here is not the verb. Is the verb. The third one, we saw a dancing crowd at the festival. We saw. So saw here is the verb, not dancing. Next one is example of past participle. The first one, the car parked outside belongs to my neighbor. The car parked outside belongs. Yeah. Actually, park outside is the appositive. So belongs is the real verb. The book written by the professor became a bestseller. So in this sentence, the verb is became. Third example, the broken vase lay on the floor. So here, the verb is lay, not broken. So all with the green highlight are actually the verb, while the yellow ones are adjective in present and past participle sentences. For the strategy of type A, you need to read all the sentences. Look at the answer first. And if you feel unsure, just remember the general structure of a sentence. Does it contain all the component that is needed? And then if you're still unsure, just guess it. I suggest you choose the simplest answer that provide the necessary component of a sentence. For strategy of question type B, identifying the error, you need to pay attention that you look for the error word or phrase. And you need to read the whole sentence to know the context. And the last is remember the formula of general structure. That is for this session. Thank you.